Okay, a very good morning to one and all. Welcome to the day 2 of the Faculty Development Program on Blockchain and its use cases, sponsored by Atal. So today we have with us Dr. Vanchana Singh, Associate Professor at Indraprastha Engineering College, Ghaziabad, affiliated to AKTU Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. Ma'am has completed her graduation, BSc in Physics with honors, and post-graduation, MSc in Physics from Miranda House, Delhi University. Her PhD in the core domain of condensed matter physics is from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Academically, she has been a scholarship holder throughout and has motivated faculties of physics for the past 17 years. She has contributed a number of research papers in core domain of nanomagnetism in high impact journals. She has been actively involved in developing various teaching pedagogies for effective learning at the student's end. For the past 3 years, she is actively involved in universal human values and its inculcation at various levels in the academic setup. She is a member of UHV Cell, AKTU, and is participating as a resource person in AICT workshops for incorporating universal human values in education. She believes in making education a fruitful experience, enabling each for a holistic development through value education leading to value-based living. As an individual, she believes in putting right efforts, ensuring right understanding at all levels of living. As a part of family with two daughters, her focus is on making them progress for holistic development. As a member of society, her efforts are towards making meaningful contributions in all domains through the right kind of education process. At the level of nature, her initiatives are to look for sustainable ways of living. We wholeheartedly welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a nice welcome at your end. And I would like to share screen from my side. So, uh,
Sure, ma'am, you can do that.
is the slide visible, ma'am?
Yes, it's visible.
Right. So, namaste to all our participants in this FDP and this universal human values, something which we are referring to. We basically, in this 1.5 hour session, our focus is to understand what holistic development is and what is the role of education. Since we all are educators, the purpose with which we wish education to be ensured, that needs to be clear within us so that our ways in which we make sure that the participants, the recipients who are interacting with us, they are able to ensure a holistic development through their process of education. So I am Vanchana Singh, currently working at Indraprastha Engineering College. And just to give a brief idea about my journey into universal human values. So some 3.5 years back, I came across this content. I found the whole content really meaningful and deeply integrated into whatever teaching learning processes we think of in order to make it more and more effective. So over the past 3.5 years, I have been myself exploring these proposals and helping and facilitating others also to look at these proposals I hope I am audible to all the participants. Is the voice clear, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
So with all our friends, our dear friends who are here, who are the teaching fraternity, who have been involving in this whole process throughout, we want to explore this whole process with them. So over here, whatever is said is a proposal. It is a proposal, which means you don't have to assume it to be true or false as it is. In fact, you have to verify it on your own right, on the basis of your own natural acceptance, something which we as human beings are endowed with. We all have this natural acceptance within us. The only thing we need to do is to refer to it every now and then, becoming more and more aware of this innate faculty within us. So whatever we are going to discuss over here, we would like all of you to take it as a proposal for yourself and then think about that and verify on your own right. The whole process is of a dialogue. To begin with, we are initiating this dialogue between me and you. It's an interactive kind of a discussion where your own ideas, your own reflections are most welcome. This dialogue which I'm initiating between me and you to start with, soon it has to become a dialogue within your own self. That is something which we are looking forward to. Between what you are, that is your current status, and what you really want to be, your own natural acceptance, something which is there within you, which you can refer to. So the whole purpose of this discussion, this very short 1.5 hour discussion, is to initiate this internal dialogue within each one of us, within each one of you. So through this whole discussion, it's not a talk. In fact, it is an interactive discussion where I am giving this proposal and you all are reflecting within yourself and trying to see whether this is something which you want for yourself, whether you want to keep it or you don't want to keep it for yourself. The choice lies with you. So let's look at our own desires. Do we want to be happy? Do we want to be prosperous? Do we want continuity of happiness and prosperity? Looking at these questions, you can just see what answer comes to you within. Something for which you don't have to look into any books. You don't have to refer to any journals. Right? Whatever we are doing, do we want to be happy? Do we want to be prosperous? You can put your responses in the chat, and I would just request ma'am, she can just give me some idea about what kind of responses we are getting. So what do you feel? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be prosperous? Do you want continuity of this happiness and prosperity throughout? I hope our participants are putting their answers in the chat. Ma'am, do we get some answers in the chat? So let's look at our state of being. Something which I put just now was the desire, what we all want to be. Now let's look at our current status, what we are. Are we happy all times? Are we prosperous all times? Are we able to maintain the continuity of our happiness and prosperity? This is something we need to see. We need to observe for ourselves. Our desire, what we want to be, and our state of being, what we are. Now, this is our current state where we can make a look at what our state is right now. Are we able to ensure happiness and prosperity in continuity? Let's look at our efforts, right? Can we see some kind of a gap between our desires and our state of being? Between what we really want to be and what we are? What are we doing to fill this gap? Is this gap getting filled up as we are growing day by day? What do you feel? Or it is getting widened up? This gap between the desires, what we want to be, and our state of being, what we are. What are we going to do to fill this gap? Are we really doing something to fill this gap so that my desire and my state of being becomes the same, what I am and what I want to be? So let's look at the efforts which we are taking throughout the day. We get up in the morning, we start our day with zeal, with enthusiasm, and we are doing so many things. Whatever we are doing, there has to be a purpose, and there is definitely a purpose. So the effort which we are taking, right? It's a question to you all. The effort which you all are taking, is that effort for continuity of happiness and prosperity, or it is just for accumulation of physical facility? Throughout the day, you have been running, you have been having a very hectic schedule, you have been doing meetings, you have been taking classes, you have been publishing research papers, you have been doing so many things. Throughout this whole set of activities in which you keep yourself engaged, the kind of effort you have been putting, that is enormous. We can just see over past 100 years, we can just see how busy we have made ourselves as compared to people who were there some 50 years back. And we all can look back to our elders and see. So we are taking too much of effort. That is obvious. Are we taking effort for continuity of happiness and prosperity, or the effort is just going for accumulation of physical facility? If there are some answers in the chat, ma'am, I would request you to please read those answers for me. So our participants are free to put their answers in the chat. In fact, they have the mic with them. They can unmute and they can give their opinions, give their reflections regarding what they feel. It's a discussion. It's an interactive session where we all can investigate for ourselves. So the question is, have we assumed that happiness and prosperity will be ensured once we have enough of physical facility? Is this something which is there as my assumption, that if I accumulate more and more of physical facility, I am able to ensure happiness and prosperity? Throughout the day, let's sit back and check what effort are we making other than accumulation of physical facility. What kind of effort we are making throughout the day? We leave our kids at home hurriedly. We rush. If the child is asking to spend some time, we are saying, no, beta, I am so busy. I'll come in the evening. When in the evening we are coming back, we are carrying some chocolate, something, and we are giving it to the child. Throughout the day, right? We all need to see what effort are we making other than accumulation of physical facility. Now, when we look at this physical facility, it is of course necessary. I need the physical facility. If I don't have the sufficient gadgets, is it possible for me to be sitting in Delhi and talking to you all in Bangalore? So physical facility is necessary, definitely. But when an animal has lack of physical facility, not getting proper food, not getting proper shelter, it makes him uncomfortable. But the moment the animal gets physical facility, it becomes comfortable. So for example, a cow, when given stomach full of grass, the cow will simply sit and chew. The cow is relaxed. Nothing else is needed. So for the animal, the physical facility is necessary. But when we look at human being, if we don't have physical facility, we become uncomfortable, unhappy. Right? If we don't have physical facility, it makes us uncomfortable, unhappy. But once we get the physical facility, whatever. So suppose there is something lacking in my house. So let's see, maybe I don't have an AC right now. So I'm focused. Let me get the AC. Now, once I get the AC, how often I think that, look, I have already got the AC. It's so thankful. I'm so thankful. Let's see how happy we feel every day when we have enough to eat. Do you feel happy every day that you have enough to eat? So for a human being, if there is lack of physical facility, of course, it is an issue. But once we are getting the physical facility, after that we start thinking about so many things. With our own kids, we can see. They might be asking for something, some toy, something, some kind of thing. But once they get it, in a day or so, it is just lying here and there. Then they start thinking about something else. So for human being, something more is required over and above the physical facility. Unlike the animal, for which the physical facility is necessary as well as sufficient, adequate, we are not just fulfilled by the physical facility. So let's see what else is required. So let's have this checkpoint at our end. So the unhappiness in our family, whenever we have it at a given point of time, not every time, of course, we are living comfortably. We are in happy surroundings most of the times. But whenever there is some kind of uneasiness, unhappiness in our families, is it more due to lack of physical facility or more due to lack of fulfillment in relationship? What do you feel? What comes to you? Let's see, some 30 years back, you can just see, has the amount of physical facility available at your own place grown over 30 years? Or it has been the same or it has been reduced? What do you feel? Ma'am, are there some answers in the chat? So this, over the 30 years, we can all see whether the physical facility within our homes that has grown or not. Regarding the fulfillment of relationship, has the amount of physical facility, the way it has grown, in the same way our fulfillment in relationship has equally grown? Right? We can see some 20 years back, there was just a single phone. Now 4 members in the family and there are 8 phones available. Are the relationships more fulfilling with more amount of physical facility we are having today? What do you feel? Can we have some answers? Any of our participants? Now let's look at the time and effort we are investing. Where are we investing throughout the day? How much time and effort are we investing for physical facility? How much time and effort are we investing for fulfillment in relationships? What do you feel? What comes to you? So when we look at our own homes, when we look at our own families, the unhappiness we find is more due to lack of fulfillment in relationship. But when we look at the time we are spending, the effort we are spending, we see that most of our time and effort is spent for physical facility. We are involved in jobs, we are taking up so much of stress and pressure. And why? So that we can ensure more and more physical facility for ourselves, for those who are dependent on us. And yet, we are seeing this lack of fulfillment in relationship. We are doing everything for families. In fact, if asked, someone will say that even at the cost of making myself uncomfortable, I'll ensure that my family is comfortable. Is it true? I hope I'm audible to all the participants and they are able to reflect within themselves some of the questions which we are putting forth. So when we look at human beings, relationship is also necessary. We can't do away with it. So for human beings, physical facility is necessary, but relationship is also necessary. This is what we can see for ourselves. So when we examine carefully, there is this fundamental difference between animals and human beings. For animals, the physical facility is necessary, but equally adequate too. But for human being, the physical facility is necessary, but will not suffice. So more and more physical facility doesn't ensure happiness for each one of us. That is not adequate. We require physical facility, definitely. But that is not adequate. So what we observe for ourselves as human beings, that in addition to physical facility, relationship is also necessary. For animals, physical facility is necessary and largely adequate. Largely adequate. They can do with that. But for human beings, right? We can just see when somebody is put in jail, he might be given meals 3 times a day. His stomach might be full, but he is devoid of his relationships. And that's why it's a punishment, where he's not allowed to ensure relationships with whom he wants to. So with making availability of the physical facility, that is not sufficient for us as human beings. So we all recognize the need of relationship, but we do get into arguments, oppositions, fights, especially with those whom we believe we love the most, we care the most. So with our colleagues at workplace, in the market, with close friends, with family members, even though we do recognize that we need relationships, often we land up into these arguments, oppositions, fights. Every time we have a fight, we want to resolve it. We would like to patch up. We would like to say sorry. We would expect other to say sorry. We'll promise not to fight and all that. But even though we don't want to, again, after some time, we are in that same situation. We want the other should improve. The other wants us to improve. Is it something which you can relate to? So let's see, is this what is happening all around? Incidents of reactions, not speaking to other, arguments, debates, divorces, are they increasing or decreasing? What is your opinion? What is your reflection? When you explore your own close relationships in your own family, your friends, your workplace, your society over a period of time, do you see these incidences increasing or decreasing with time? What do you feel? Can we have some reflections from you? What do you feel? So the question is, in spite of our acceptance for relationship, why is it that these incidences are on a rise? Even though we don't want, but yet it is on rise. So let's see what is our own perspective about relationship. Do we want to live in relationship in harmony with others? Do we want to live in opposition? Let's see what is our perspective. We want to live in relationship? We want to live in opposition? Or we believe that living has to be necessarily in opposition with other. There is always struggle for survival, survival of the fittest. And just see with your own perspective, can we feel happy living this way when we are believing that there is always survival of the fittest? There is struggle for survival. Is this actually valid? Have we ever asked that? The day we start raising our children, we start pumping this feeling of competition into them. You have to be the best. It is always survival of the fittest. Are we giving them the right perspective? Is the very design of nature like this? Just enter into a forest and see. Are the small trees, small plants not available there? We can just look around. We'll see grass, we'll see shrubs, we'll see herbs, we'll see big trees. With animals, we'll see smallest possible animals, we'll see biggest possible animals. Where is this struggle for survival? Where is the survival of the fittest? Is it nature's law? Have we ever verified? Just see what is our own perspective about relationship. Which view are we promoting within our homes, within our families, within schools, colleges, society? Are we promoting perspective of domination, or we are promoting perspective of cooperation? What is naturally acceptable for us? Which is a naturally acceptable view? Which perspective comes to us from within? So for human being, this right understanding becomes essential. If we want fulfillment in relationships, it is necessary to have right understanding about what relationship is. So this right understanding is necessary for a human being. And with right understanding, we have clarity about the relationship with other human beings. And with that clarity, we are able to fulfill the relationships, ensuring happiness for ourselves as well as for the other. And with this clarity about how much physical facility we need, we are able to ensure prosperity for ourselves as well as for the rest of the nature by ensuring mutually enriching, sustainable processes. So this right understanding enables us to have clarity about our relationships and clarity about how much physical facility we need. And thus, as a proposal, we are just putting forth that this right understanding is also essential for human beings. The physical facility for animals is necessary and largely adequate, but for human beings, this right understanding in the self, relationship with human beings in a fulfilling manner, and utilization of the physical facility which we are getting from the rest of the nature in the right way. So the question is, are all three required, or something is redundant and can be left out? Do we need anything else? Are we leaving something? Just see. Now, if you find that all the three are required, each moment, are you working for all three? How are you ensuring this right understanding in the self? How are you ensuring relationships with the human being? So throughout your day, are you working for all three? If all three are required, if you feel that all three are needed, what should be the correct priority? When we say priority, if we are going to work on something which is at a higher priority, we'll definitely make sure that the lower priority is also taken care of. So what should be the priority in your own opinion? What do you feel? Can we have some answers from our participants? We have been putting forth these proposals. And since each one of us can verify for their own selves, So what should be the priority? So maybe you must have decided some priority for yourself. And as a proposal, we are putting this as the priority. Right understanding in the self at priority number 1. Relationships, ensuring mutually fulfilling with other human beings. Feelings like trust, respect in all the relationships at priority number 2. And physical facility, which we are deriving from the rest of the nature at priority number 3. So with right understanding in the self, if I'm able to ensure the relationships with others, it makes me happy and it makes the other also equally happy. And that is mutual happiness. Similarly, with right understanding in the self, if I'm able to rightly utilize the physical facility, it ensures my prosperity as well as the prosperity of the rest of the nature. And that is mutual prosperity, where I am enriched and I equally enrich the other. We can just see around. The tree derives its nutrition from the soil and enriches the soil. So that is mutual enrichment. So wherever there are trees and plants, the soil becomes more fertile. Now, if we are setting our priority to physical facility, without ensuring this right understanding in the self and relationships, then what is going to happen? For example, you are sitting in a room which is very hot. So it becomes uncomfortable and you require a physical facility. That is an AC. So now you need an AC. Once the AC is there in the room, the temperature becomes comfortable. But what if somebody who comes and sits in that room, you have feeling of opposition with that person. Now while sitting in that room along with the AC, are you still comfortable or you are feeling uncomfortable? So the temperature is optimum. Initially, it was hot and you were bothered, uncomfortable by that. But once the temperature becomes optimum, now what? So without this right understanding in the self, if we go by with our relationships, it makes ourselves unhappy. And in this whole process, we are making others also unhappy. And without this right understanding in the self, we are utilizing, we are overindulging ourselves with the physical facility, having this feeling of deprivation within, exploiting and depriving the others. So when the priority is only on the physical facility, then this is something which is going to be there as an outcome. So if we are able to ensure the correct priority order, that is human consciousness. When we are living with all three, right understanding, relationship, and physical facility in the correct priority order. If we are able to live with this, that is what is human consciousness. But if our priority is only for physical facility, then that is animal consciousness. It's the animal for which the physical facility is necessary as well as adequate. For us as human beings, this physical facility will not suffice. We need it, but it will not suffice. So animals living with animal consciousness, they are in absolute harmony. That's absolutely fine. Human beings living with human consciousness, they are also in harmony. That is also absolutely fine. The only problem domain is human beings living with animal consciousness. That is something which we have to see, especially with the current civilization. So, generally, if we don't have clarity about our physical needs, in society, we can observe two categories of human beings. First one being those who lack the physical facility, and of course, they are unhappy and deprived. So, since they don't have sufficient physical facility, their needs are not fulfilled. So, they are unhappy, they are deprived. And there is another category. Category number 2, having physical facility and yet unhappy and deprived. If we look at our own desire, what we want to be, we want to be having physical facility, happy and prosperous. Check for yourself whether you want to be 1, 2 or 3, and where are you currently? Where are we currently? If anyone is at 1, that is somebody is lacking physical facility. Of course, one can work accordingly, ensure the skills, and then make sure that this lack of physical facility is removed. But what to do when someone is at 2? Do we want to be at 2 or we want to be at 3? Where do you want to be? Are there limitations due to resources, or this is a different issue altogether? So this is a UN-backed report way back in 2011, which says that the total production is 4.2 billion tons, of which more than 1 billion tons of food is lost or wasted every year. If we just calculate for ourselves, on an average, our yearly consumption would be around 1 quintal. And then we can just see, with the total world population of 700 crore people, how much we would be needing. The global food production is 6 times the requirement. The global food wastage is 1/3 of the production. The wastage itself is enough to feed twice the population of the world per year. So the question is it the limitation of the resources or the issue of distribution which is leading to so many people dying of hunger, starvation? The developed countries consuming 15 to 30 times more than the average consumption of the developing nations. So we all need to see if we are able to ensure feeling of relationship with that feeling of relationship, are we able to ensure uniform distribution? Is it the lack of relationship which is leading to problems like this? So have we really understood right utilization of the resources? Is it a question of production or a question of distribution? Is it a question of relationship? Is it a question of right understanding? Is it actually a question of education? We are ensuring more and more degrees for ourselves. Are we able to see the issues? Are we able to resolve them? Are we able to contribute from our side to the resolution of these issues? So are resources really in scarcity? So the whole purpose of education as a proposal we are putting forth is to bring about this transformation. And that is what is the holistic development. Where this development, is it simply building good roads, building huge infrastructure, collecting more and more gadgets? Or is it the development is that we are able to ensure all three? So can you find, is this transformation desirable? Where our focus from the physical facility takes a shift to this bigger circle, which we are calling as human consciousness, where our priorities are set right. Are we making effort for it? What do you feel? Are you ensuring this for yourself each moment? Do we need to make an effort? Do we really need to make an effort for this transformation? Does education needs to ensure this? Are we enabling our students so that they can see this transformation within, where they can move from animal consciousness to human consciousness? We as educators, we as mentors, are we enabling each of our student so that he can ensure living in this bigger circle? This is the progress. This is the transformation. And who other than education is going to bring about this change? The holistic development. Are we happy getting more and more bigger roads? Or we want each one of us to ensure this human consciousness for ourselves, for our generations to come? So the role of this whole education sanskar process, each day when I'm interacting with my students, apart from giving the technical skills, am I enabling them to ensure this holistic development, transformation to human consciousness, so as to enable a humane society? So the whole role of this education sanskar is to enable this transformation by way of ensuring development of the competence to live with human consciousness and a definite human conduct. When we look around in the current scenario, what bothers us the most? Fear of natural calamities, fear of animals, or the fear of inhuman conduct? What is it that is bothering us? And if we look at the literacy rate is showing a sharp increase from 1947, when the literacy rate was less than 10%. The literacy rate has grown beyond 65%. Is the humane conduct on rise or the inhumane conduct which is bothering us? So the whole education sanskar process which we are part of, are we enabling this transformation? What do you feel? Is it necessary to ensure right understanding in every child? The capacity to live in relationships with the other human being? The capacity to identify the need of physical facility and the skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required, ensuring the feeling of prosperity, where we don't live in the sphere of resource crunch. In fact, we realize that the resources are already available in plenty. We need to make right utilization. So the whole education process, if I am part of that whole process, am I taking that responsibility? Am I ensuring that for myself? Am I ensuring that for my family? And of course, my extended family, to whomsoever I interact. So what is required for this transformation? Right understanding in every child? If we look at the present state, we find it missing. Every new generation, people say there's a continuous degradation in values. And we keep discussing the issue. We look for piecemeal solutions. So we'll go for personality development programs so that the child is groomed to talk soft. And the anger should remain hidden. Are we looking for holistic solutions or our approach is for piecemeal solutions? The capacity to live in relationships with the other human beings. A direct indication, size of families. How is it shrinking over a period of time? Let's look at the size of family some 50 years back and the size of the families we have today. When we say family, how many people we can count for? The capacity to identify the need of physical facility, ensuring right skills and practice for sustainable production. In fact, when the students come to college, by the 4th year, they have this aim that I must be getting the best package with minimum of work. So what do you want in life? Probably high salary, no work. So we just want to accumulate more and more, consume more and more, rather than producing more and more. So the need is to ensure human beings living with human consciousness, where they are enabling the education is ensuring this understanding. And then we develop the sanskar, where one is able to live with this human consciousness. So the role of education is to ensure this understanding. Understanding of what? Understanding of harmony. Harmony at all 4 levels of my being. When I look at myself, when you look at yourself, you are living as an individual, you are living as a part of family, as a part of society, and eventually part of this nature and existence. So if you understand harmony in the human being, in family, in society, in nature and existence, is there anything which is left? So with this, the societal implications when we live with human consciousness is that each and every individual is ensuring harmony at all four levels of living, and thus is able to ensure justice in relationship with the other human beings, moving from family to world family, ensuring mutual happiness and leading to undivided society. With right understanding, one is able to participate in the larger order, realizing its roles and responsibilities with the nature, moving from family order to world family order, ensuring fulfillment of human nature relationship. So in this process, we need to identify our own needs, our own aspirations, and let's see how to fulfill them. So in order to bring about this transformation, this holistic development which we are talking about, the process is via self-exploration, via self-investigation. It can't be in the form of do's and don'ts. Something which we can verify on our own right. That is going to be part of my own right understanding. So the whole purpose of this universal human values, which now is an integral part of the engineering curriculum, is to enable initiation of the process of self-exploration, self-investigation in each one of us, so that we can be aware of our own natural acceptance. We can ensure living in harmony. So whatever proposal is coming to you, you have to verify it on the basis of your own natural acceptance. And once you are able to verify it on the basis of your own natural acceptance, you have to experientially validate it by living according to it. And if in the process of living, while interacting with human beings, you can see that you are able to ensure mutual happiness, and while working with rest of the nature, you can see that you are ensuring prosperity, then that is the right proposal. That is the part of your own right understanding. So when we look at our own aspirations, happiness, prosperity, and its continuity. So do we desire for happiness? This is what we have started with. Now, if we desire for happiness, if we desire for prosperity, if we desire for its continuity, have we really understood it? Is there anyone who doesn't want to be happy? Just see throughout the day, can you note down a moment when you say that, no, I want to be unhappy today. I want to be unhappy at this moment. I don't want to be happy. But have we understood? Now, appraising the current situation, if this happiness and prosperity is interpreted as accumulation of physical facility, we can see the kind of impact we have. We want to accumulate more and more. So we carry out this whole process of exploitation, and that's what we are seeing happening around the developed countries, exploiting the underdeveloped, leading to oppositions, struggle, war. These are the situations we are seeing in the society. While dealing with rest of the nature, we are violating the cyclic, mutually enriching processes. In fact, in this whole process of getting more and more out of the soil, we started feeding the soil with lots and lots of fertilizers. And just to inform, in fact, most of you might be knowing that the first fertilizer factories in India were established way back in 1960 in Bhatinda district of Punjab. And due to the excessive use of fertilizers in the adjoining area, the current situation is that every family in Bhatinda and adjoining region has a minimum of 3 to 4 family members suffering from cancers. cancer has become a hereditary disorder for people residing in Bhatinda and adjoining regions. So all these issues, are these man-made issues or they are naturally occurring processes on which we don't have a control? So we all need to see what kind of education. We want to get treatments. We want to progress by devising newer and newer vaccines. But we don't want to look back and see where we are going wrong. We are creating these problems. In the society, everyone is concerned about these side effects. The focus is on these side effects. So we want to sign treaties. We want to have arrangements so that the situation like war is avoided. Are we going back and looking at the real reason, the root cause behind it? We are looking at these issues and dealing with these issues with piecemeal approach. So in order to understand the root cause, we need to understand ourselves, right? What all notions about happiness we have. So some kind of favorable sensation is equal to happiness. Some physical thing, contact with the senses, sensations, right? If the taste is favorable, we believe there is happiness. Is it going to be in continuity? Can we ensure continuity? So if I love to eat rasgulla, the first rasgulla I have, I enjoy. But what if somebody is forcing me to eat the 20th rasgulla? Will it ensure my happiness? So can rasgulla be a source of my happiness? And that too in continuity. So happiness, can we get it from favorable sensation? Sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Happiness from indulgence of food, sleep, some kind of fear, security. Are we able to do that? These sensations can be a source of excitement. Since it's providing some kind of a temporary happiness, very soon one gets bored. And that's why we keep fluctuating from one sensation to the other. So sometimes we are fond of loud music. Sometimes we start looking for calm, soother music, and so on. We keep switching. Sometimes we want to exercise rigorously. Sometimes we want to relax. Sometimes we want to deep breathe. And in this whole process, we are simply shifting the sources, not looking at our own basic aspiration. Have we really understood happiness? We just keep shifting the sources of happiness. So this sensation, can it be a continuous source of happiness? The dependence is entirely on outside. The same thing which is tasty and necessary at one moment soon becomes tasty, unnecessary, then eventually tasteless, unnecessary, and ultimately intolerable. These are some of the notions we have about happiness. Getting favorable feelings from the other. So why do I want to wear a new dress? So that somebody can look, somebody can give some favorable comments. So from the other human being, I want some kind of an expression of feeling. Now, how long can somebody else give me that feeling? Can I get that in continuity? What if the other doesn't have that feeling within himself? He is perturbed. Can I get that feeling from the other in continuity? So we see that whether it is sensation or favorable feeling from the other, the dependence is on the other. I am partantra. I am enslaved. Some of the notions which we carry for happiness. Physical facility equals to happiness. Sensation equals to happiness. We are overindulging in so many things. Excitement equals to happiness. Domination equals to happiness. Fulfillment of all desires. Do we want this, or we want right understanding, rightly utilizing the physical facility, understanding the role of sensation? The role of sensation is to ensure health in the body. These excitements are always temporary. They cannot ensure continuity, happiness and continuity. By dominating, am I ensuring happiness, or is it coexistence and complementarity which will ensure happiness for me? Fulfillment of right desires or fulfillment of all arbitrary desires? We see these days everyone saying, I want freedom. What kind of freedom? Is it freedom when you don't have your own thoughts are not your own? So you're sitting in front of your television and all of a sudden you see some kind of a view and immediately you start saying, oh, for how many days I have not been to a mountain. Now, is it your own desire or you have borrowed it from someone else? How many desires we are borrowing from others without even realizing? You look around, you see somebody going buy a new car, and then your own car becomes useless for you. The same car which was giving you comfort. The moment you see somebody else's car, your own car becomes a pain. Oh, how long I have to bear this. So this dialogue between what I am and what is naturally acceptable to me, if I'm able to initiate this dialogue where I can see that even though I am sometimes in relationship and sometimes in association of opposition, but I want relationship in continuity. This is what is naturally acceptable to me, which is going to ensure harmony for me. Right? So even though this is my current state, but this is something which I want for myself. So this happiness is to be in a state of harmony. When I'm able to ensure this synergy within me, that is happiness. This unhappiness which we see around, which we feel within, is when we are forced to be in a state of contradiction. When we are forcing ourselves or someone else is forcing us. Anyways, most of the times we are within ourselves in a state of contradiction. And whenever we are forced to be in a state of contradiction, that is the unhappiness which is there. That is something which we have to see. So this happiness is the state or situation in which I live and there is harmony, synergy in it. It is naturally acceptable to me to be in that state forever. A state which is naturally acceptable to me, that is ensuring my harmony, that is happiness. So if I'm listening to loud music and believing that this loud music is giving me happiness, how long can I continue that activity? Is it happiness or excitement? If there is some disharmony, some contradiction, something which is not naturally acceptable to me. For example, if I ask this question, what kind of food is naturally acceptable to us? Food which nurtures the body or food which is going to harm the body? What is the answer that comes from you within? What kind of food would you like to take? Food which nurtures the body or the food which harms the body? So if there are some answers in the chat, we would like to get those answers. So the food which nurtures the body, everyone wants that. But if I'm taking something which is not going to nurture my body, am I not putting myself in a state of contradiction? Am I not ensuring unhappiness, disharmony for me? Where I'm forcing to be in a state or situation which is not naturally acceptable to me. So this unhappiness is the disharmony. Happiness is to be in a state of harmony, to be in the state which is naturally acceptable to us. And unhappiness is to be in a state of disharmony, contradiction. If this definition of happiness holds good for you, then we can see how to ensure this state of harmony. And can this definition vary from person to person? Or it can be same for all? We all need to see. Each time we say happiness is very subjective. Is it? Source of excitement can be subjective. Can happiness actually be subjective? If we have understood what is this happiness. So just check. I'm leaving it as an open-ended question for you. This definition of happiness. Can you ensure continuity with any source of excitement? So in order to ensure this continuity of happiness, I need to ensure the state of harmony. So when I look at myself, I live as an individual human being. I live as a member of family, as a member of society, and as a unit in nature and existence. So therefore, if I need to ensure this happiness, I need to understand harmony at all 4 levels of my being. And prosperity, which is again my basic aspiration. It's a feeling of having more than required physical facility. Now, in order to have this feeling of prosperity, I need this right assessment of the physical needs and ensuring the availability or production of more than required physical facility, which means right skills. This right assessment will only come with right understanding. What if I'm holding a cup which is bottomless? Now, can I ever be able to fill that cup? If I'm holding a cup, but the cup doesn't have a bottom to it, which means I have not been able to assess my physical needs. Just as a small exercise, we all can see how many of us are aware of how many pair of clothes we have. A number of times we would have opened our almirah and we would have said, oh, I have nothing to wear today. We have this feeling of deprivation within. And with that feeling, next time we land up in a mall and start buying without even seeing, verifying in our own right, how many are already available. So a very simple exercise where we just count the number of clothes we have will give us an idea about understanding this feeling of prosperity. So it's a humble request to all our participants, if possible, just make this assessment. How many pairs of clothes do we really need and how many pair of clothes we have currently. So if you can just count your number of clothes, that itself is enabling us to see, have we ever done the right assessment of the physical needs? Anyone who has this feeling of prosperity thinks of nurturing the other. Someone who has this feeling of deprivation always thinks of exploiting the other. So if we are unable to identify the required physical facility, we can never ever have the feeling of prosperity. We'll always have this feeling of deprivation within. So the question is, have you been able to identify your need for physical facility? Have you ever assessed? You can just ask yourself whether you're working for prosperity or you're working for accumulation of physical facility. And you don't need to seek answers from any other source. You just need to seek answers from yourself. Do you want to work for prosperity or you want to work for accumulation of physical facility? So whatever we have talked about, we have put that over here. And now I'll quickly give you a glimpse of how to understand harmony in the human being. We are running it with a very tight schedule. Within this 1.5 hours, this is not possible to get through all the content of the universal human values. But just to give you a glimpse, we are going to talk about how to ensure this harmony at the level of human being. And we are just going to talk about this human being as a coexistence of self and body. When we look at any human being, when I look at me as an individual, I can just see myself as a coexistence of self and body. Now, how to see this? So if I look at the needs which I have, I can classify these needs into these two broad categories. There is this need of physical facility, that is food, that is clothes. And there is this need for happiness, need for respect, need for trust. Right? Now, when I look at this need for physical facility, like food, so who is needing the food? Right? So we can see that this need for food is temporary. I need it intermittently. I don't need it in continuity. I will require something for my breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and so on. So 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Maybe somebody loves to eat food 5 times a day. But yet it is temporary. It is limited in quantity. The limit may vary from one person to the other, but it is quantitative. But is there any moment when I don't need respect? When I don't need these feelings of affection, care, love, happiness? So we can just see that there are certain needs which are temporary and quantitative, and there are other set of needs which are continuous, and they are not quantitative, they are qualitative, they are in terms of feelings. So we can see the contrast. Are these needs different or they are of the same type? Can I have happiness for breakfast, for lunch, and in between I can do away with happiness? Are both the types of needs important? For example, you go to your friend's place, right? Your friend greets you very well, right? You both are so happy meeting each other. And now you're spending some 5-7 hours. And the friend doesn't even ask for once whether you need something to eat. Can that continue like that? Spending 7, 8, 10 hours with that feeling, right? The friend is reciprocating all the feelings. You are very happy, but yet the needs for the body are not taken care of. On the other hand, you go to meet your friend, the friend lays the table with n number of dishes, and now he simply says, look how much I can put for you. Have you ever done that for me? Will you be able to take a bite now? You might be extremely hungry, but with that disrespect, can you take that for a moment? So we have to see, can we ignore any one type of needs and do away with the other? Or both the types of needs important for us? And throughout our own efforts, are we working to fulfill both the types of needs? Needs of the body as well as needs of the self. Have we taken care of both? Are we trying to see the priority between the needs of the self and the needs of the body? These needs of the body are going to be fulfilled by physiochemical things which we derive from the nature. But the needs of the self, which is the conscious entity in us, is going to be ensured by right understanding and right feeling. This right understanding and right feeling has to be an integral part. Otherwise, with this physiochemical thing, can this more and more food ensure happiness for me? If I don't see myself as a combination, as a coexistence of these two entities, and I am simply looking myself as a body, right? Instead of going into too many details, I'll simply look at some of the gross misunderstandings which we have. So if this human being is just misunderstood as a body, where we try to ensure respect from physical facility like wearing clothes, eating food in good restaurants, right? This need which is in continuity, need of respect, the need of the self which is in continuity, can we ensure that with the physical facility? So if we have this gross misunderstanding, we try to accumulate more and more of physical facility. In the way that we try to ensure this need of self without right understanding, we try to equate it to physical facility. So we just need to see, are we caught in this loop where we have this feeling of deprivation coming to us? I don't have enough. I need to make more effort for physical facility. I need to accumulate more and more. And then again, the needs of the self are not satisfied. Because the needs of the self cannot be satisfied by the physical facility, by the physiochemical things. But if I have this gross misunderstanding that I am equal to body, then I am caught in this loop. So we all need to see. Now, throughout this discussion, over here, we have been just able to touch upon few basic things to understand about the human being. Once we understand about human being, we move to family, we move to society, we move to nature and existence, and all that requires time. So just to sum up, human being is a coexistence of self and body. Self is consciousness. Its needs are feelings like happiness, and these needs can be fulfilled only by right understanding and right feeling. Body is material. Its needs are material, and they are going to be fulfilled by physiochemical things. I cannot fulfill the need of consciousness by the needs of material. Both the needs have to be taken care of. Both the body as well as the self has to be taken care of. And if I'm ignoring any one and not doing the right thing. So throughout this discussion, which was just an introductory discussion, the whole purpose was to initiate the self dialogue within you. It is an invitation to further explore what universal human values are. In fact, based on our own preconditionings, we believe that we already have values. This value is when I understand my role, my participation in the larger order. For example, when we look at the pen, what is the value of this pen? The value of this pen is that it enables me to write and it plays a role in enabling my learning. In the same way, have I understood my value as a human being? That is universal human value, where we are able to see what is valuable to me as a human being and what is my value as a human. So I would like to extend an invitation for 5-day online FTP, which is being conducted regularly by AICT on incorporating universal human values in education. If this whole discussion has been able to trigger few questions in you, have been able to put forth some of the issues, we have just been able to touch upon some of the issues so that we do understand our role and responsibility as educators. And if that is the possibility, I would really like to extend an invitation that you be a part of this 5-day online FTP where we can have more discussion on various issues. So with this, I am towards the end of my discussion. And if there are some questions, I would welcome our participants. In fact, I can float my mail ID also for any kind of queries or questions which our participants would like to pose. So that was all from my side. Shashikala ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you for explaining us about the coexistence of self and body, and also giving us an insight into the universal human values. If any participants has any queries, they can ask now to ma'am.
So our participants, they would like to think upon it, they would like to reflect upon it, and it would be really nice if each one of us, since we all have this huge responsibility to deliver holistic education to each one whomsoever we are interacting, we ourselves need to get clarity about what we want for ourselves. So that is something which I would like all of you to reflect upon within yourself and start this dialogue within, where you are referring to your own natural acceptance and seeking answers. So I hope, ma'am, our participants, they might pose some of the questions, and if in case there are some questions, you can just put that in my mail and I would be happy to answer the questions.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for all the inputs and suggestions. I will put forth any questions that come to us to your mail ID. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
It was so nice talking to all of you, and I hope I have been able to convey few things through this discussion. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Okay, participants, to all the participants, I think we shall pause for a tea break now. And exactly at 11:45, we'll start with the next session by Professor Lohit. That is the topic on Introduction to Ethereum and Smart Contract. So we shall start the session at next session at 11:45. Thank you all for participating.